Oh, right. I did say I would do this, didn't I? Quick reminder again, we are doing a Wind and Truth group read on my Discord server, link in the description. Come join us if you're interested. Also, I've just released a preview for my new comic Nocturnal. You can also find that in the description. So consider this a sequel to the recent video I made about Goodreads scores. Today we're going to be taking a look at my least favorite site that I still use all the time. That's right, I left Twitter. I couldn't take it anymore, it's gone. Anyway, it's a very big time of the year for Goodreads because they just had their annual Goodreads Choice Awards. We look at all of these other awards that are handed out, Oscars, Game Awards, Grammys. All of the nominees here and all of the winners are chosen by a selected group of industry experts. It's impossible to remove all bias, but the jobs of these people are to, assess the nominations as equally as they can and judge them based on whatever metrics they are given. And there are a lot of book awards that are like this too. But without being mean, no one really cares about them. When you talk about book awards, we don't have anything like the Oscars, like the Game Awards. Really, the closest, most significant thing we have are the Goodreads Choice Awards. And the big thing that sets Goodreads apart from all of these other big media awards that I mentioned is that they do not work the same way. All of the voting is done by Goodreads users. They even pick the nominations. There was a first round where you're just giving a long list of books in each category, and they narrow it down to get to, a final group of nominations, and then it moves on to the main vote. And with pretty much every kind of fan vote ever, the very obvious result is that the most popular thing that's nominated is going to win. It's pretty much scientifically factual that will always happen. And now there are also fan votes for stuff before. Even these big awards have their own version of a fan vote. The Game Awards lets people vote on stuff, but it only counts for, 10% of the actual weight. The Oscars has a fan vote award, and, that's going to nonsense like Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this is all common stuff, and it's all stuff people know. But again, what alienates Goodreads is that, when it comes to, movie categories, or even games to an extent, you got film watchers, you got gamers, people who like to consume all of this different type of media. While it is not required, there is a higher chance that Oscar voters have seen all of the films. That gamers watching the Game Awards have played all of the games nominated, because there's usually only a handful. But when it comes to the Goodreads Choice Awards, I don't know the number of people voting who have read all of the nominations, but I guarantee you it's probably a 2-digit number. The world of books is so vast, so significant, that unless someone is actually making an effort to do this, they are never going to have read every single book that's nominated, even within the categories of books that they usually read. It is just an insane and unfathomable thing to ask of people. So not only is this setup already going to favor the most popular books, it's not even going to give the rest a chance, because the likelihood of someone voting having read and can give, a fair judgment to all of them is extremely low. And this just makes the awards boring. Because if Sarah J. Maas is there, she's gonna win. If Stephen King is there, he's gonna win. If your favorite book of the year only has 30,000 ratings, it doesn't stand a chance. And the Goodreads Awards are no joke. This is considered a very prestigious thing in the industry. You get a Goodreads nomination, that's a blurb that can go on your book. That means a lot. That carries a lot of weight. And you're okay, well, what do you propose? That we actually get panels of, journalists and book reviewers to read all of the books and judge them fairly? Yeah. Why not? Sure, there are a lot of books nominated, but you can just have someone, read what's in the category at least. And, whoever's reading these books might have their own biases and whatever. But I kind of just wish everything was getting a fair shot. Now, I have more issues and things I want to discuss, but I think the best way to do that is to actually see what the awards have cooked up this year. I haven't actually looked at them yet. I may be completely wrong and have to scrap this video. Alright, so here we are. Now, first I'll say, as bad as Goodreads UI normally is, I do really like how they just make it very accessible to find the other awards here. If we head back to 2011, we can sort of take a take a look at what things were like back then. Like, votes were way lower than usual, but as you can see, it was still pretty much a popularity contest. Like, it's kind of insane Divergent won here, especially going up against stuff like A Song of Ice and Fire and like King Killer Chronicle. Ready Player One even being considered there was just nasty, man. The Heroes got less than 400 votes. Yeah, man. It was a different time back then. Not as many people were using it. Oh, Pierce Brown won debut author. That's pretty cool. Look at him now. One thing that's interesting about the old awards is that they had fantasy split between fantasy and paranormal fantasy. I actually like this, and I'm kind of upset they got rid of it. In fact, I am of the opinion that the more categories, the better. Why is that? Because it's so hard to compare certain books even within the same broad genre. Like, fantasy is so vast, there are so many different types of it. Like, it's really hard to compare something like the Dresden Files to the Stormlight Archive. And I think if these categories were more focused, while, you can't really avoid it being a popularity contest, you would have a far higher chance that the people actually voting on it have read more of the books and are thus being more fair to everything. Bro Inferno, let's go. Tom Hanks, let's go. You'll also notice Stephen King winning an award every single time, even if it's a book that's not super well received by a lot of people. Elevation won Best Horror. What came out this year? Hold on. Not only is Elevation literally not a horror book, but like, I guarantee, without having read most of these, I guarantee you almost all of them are better than Elevation. And he also won Mystery Thriller for The Outsider. The Outsider is far more of a horror book than Elevation. What? Bezos, man, you're killing me. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I think this exemplifies the popularity problem the most. Because Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is, it's a very despised book. But Harry Potter is just so big that it sort of just brute forced its way to winning. Alright, I think 2020 is when the Moss takeover started. So this year we saw House of Earth and Blood narrowly beat out The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. There are definitely some heavy hitters here. I haven't read any Sarah J. Maas books. Gonna take a small gamble here and say The Trouble with Peace is probably better than most of the books here. I'm reading it next, we'll see. And if you sort of want like an example of how, big romantasy is compared to a lot of, other big standard fantasy stuff, just compare Rhythm of War's votes. I mean, like, you can't escape Stormlight Archive on YouTube, but in the grand scheme of things, it's nowhere near some of these other ones. But you see, then we go to 2021, and you'll notice Sarah J. Maas is here again. This time significantly destroying all of the competition. In 2022, here she is again, destroying fantasy, even such huge hits like Babel and Fairy Tale. And again, these books are just so different in terms of, the things they offer, the people who read them. At this point, a trend was becoming a bit obvious that Sarah J. Maas was going to win no matter what. Something needed to be done. Because if something was not done, Fourth Wing was going to win Best Fantasy. And having actually read Fourth Wing, that would have been a travesty. So as you can see, they went back to their old ways of actually splitting up the fantasy category. Because now we have romantasy, the book talk shit, the smut. That's a generalization, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. I've talked about covers before, but my god, these things. Like, I literally can't even tell these apart. The visual identity of these things, Anyway, Fourth Wing, wow. Okay, yeah. Alright. Then we go back to the normal fantasy category here, and yeah, like, Hellbent could not even come close. So I do think it was a very smart decision to, separate these books out a bit. But again, I still don't really know if these are separated out enough, because I mean, like, Hellbent, Tress of the Emerald Sea, very different books, very hard to compare them. Alright, so we're finally checking out 2024. We're gonna see if anything's up, see if anything surprises me. Probably not, as a Sarah J. Maas book did come out this year. Can't really say much on the fiction category. These are for, like, nerds and old people. This book is definitely wants to be the housemaid. I don't know if it is anything like that, but you can just tell that's what they were going for with the cover. Frida McFadden got 2 votes here. That's probably why she didn't win. She's an absolutely massive author right now, and I think if her votes weren't split, and they were kind of split evenly, she would have swept this category. Isn't House of Glass a Sarah J. Maas book? Maybe? Okay, the stuff I care about, romance. Emily Henry, no surprise, she's massive. Ali Hazelwood, yeah, I know all about these bozos. Hannah Grace, who wrote Icebreaker, hate to see it. Though I don't see any hockey here, actually, I think. So it seems like this is a baseball book, but I know for a fact, I think this is the author who wrote, like, Pucking Around and, you know, Puck Sluts and whatever. Oh, it is a hockey series? I have no idea what's happening here, but I hate it. 4.49, Jesus Christ. You know what, romance fans? I say you guys do you. Keep at it. Yep. Now Romantasy, it'll be Sarah J. Maas. Yeah, no one is surprised here. House of Flame and Shadow. Okay. Again, these all look so similar to me. I can't tell, like, what is this? But Romantasy is a very popular subgenre, and, you know, these votes reflect it here. Now, the main fantasy section is a bit interesting, because we don't really have, like, a blowout winner like we normally do. We're split here between Somewhere Beyond the Sea and The Familiar, two very popular authors, so not really surprising. There's really nothing else here that I think had a chance of coming close. And, of course, these are the only two books I've read, so, you know, even someone who is into fantasy like myself, you know, the likelihood of a single person having read all of these is just ridiculous. And, you know, I am part of the problem, because I actually did vote on a few of these. You can see the check marks there. But I didn't really vote for this one, because while I enjoyed Somewhere Beyond the Sea, I actually, like, just didn't feel like it deserved it. Like, it wasn't that good. I mean, I'm sure if I were to read everything here, I'd probably find something. I've heard, like, Empire of the Vampire is really good, and yeah, The Familiar I just thought was okay. They did come in pretty close, so, you know, congratulations to these authors who definitely did not need this award. Science fiction here, so I did vote for The Mercy of the Gods, just because I could. I've not read any of the, I don't even really know what else is going on in sci-fi this year, not a genre I'm super in tune to. The Ministry of Time kinda sounds like a Deadpool and Wolverine type thing. So horror, no surprise, Stephen King had a book out this year, it was gonna win. And, you know, I think You Like It Darker is definitely more deserving than some of his other books that have won these categories. Because, you know, it is very accessible. It's a really strong collection of stories. I personally voted for Angel of Indian Lake, which is all the way down here, which makes sense because it's the third in a trilogy that's not, like, absurdly popular anyway. Jones's more recent book, I Was a Teenage Slasher, did get on here, though, and that's really nice to see. I didn't talk about this in the last video, but, like, horror books usually score a lot lower, which is interesting because the same thing happens with horror movies. So I think especially if you're a horror fan, you should take these scores with a grain of salt. Young adult fantasy here, so I did vote for Defiant. Just because I enjoyed Defiant. I don't know what any of this crap is. But it's worth mentioning, Defiant is a science fiction book. To be fair, it's really the only sci-fi looking one out of all of these, so maybe they just didn't have enough to do normal like YA sci-fi. But here we get to young adult fiction, and here's where I'm very confused. As far as I'm aware, there always used to be a graphic novel category. Hold on. Okay, no, it was gone in 2023, but it was here in 2022. That's interesting, and I do not understand why. Why would they get rid of that? I mean, there's clearly enough releases and, like, enough things to get votes. And, of course, what that's going to lead to is just Heartstopper winning young adult fiction. Now, I have actually seen the Heartstopper show. It's not really my thing. It's a bit too, like, it's, like, too sweet. Like everyone is best friends, and everyone is cool, and all the conflicts are, like, resolved very nicely, and they're all like, oh, we love you so much. Like, shut up. Honestly. But I have no issues with it. I definitely understand why it's so popular. But why put it into this category? In fact, this is a very confusing category. As you can tell just by the covers, most of it is romance, which makes sense because, you know, romance is very popular in the YA space. But we're just mashing everything together, it looks like. I mean, this one here is like a mystery thriller. There's like a few mystery books, like crime type books here. This is a disaster of a category. In fact, it's not even a genre. It's more of just a general demographic, and I hate it. This is bad. Yeah, I'm so confused as to why they got rid of the graphic novel category too. What the heck is happening? Anything interesting in the boring books? Probably not. Oh, John Grisham, he's still kicking, is he? Yep. my dad's a big fan. We got Liz Cheney up in here. Okay. I'm sure like the next 5 years or so is gonna see some pretty insane political books. Well, we'll see. So overall, this thing's a mess. I hate it. What are we doing here? I can fix this, Geoff. I can do it for free, honest to God. So that'll do it, everyone. Send me your Goodreads if you have not, or rather, it's easier to just, click the link and add me as a friend. Because I don't know, maybe it'd be fun to just, like roast people's reviews, potentially. Like this person here gave one of the most goated books I've ever read, 3 stars. Like that has got to go.